Welcome back. As you know, I'm Eli, the computer guy, here for the Daily Blob, and I've got to say today, at least even he knows his policies aren't doing so well for the American people. So that's a good thing. He's not going to stop with his policies, but at least he knows his policies are destructive. So Trump is trying to get rid of all of the illegal immigrants in the country. He is pulling the permits for immigrants that were here so that they're no longer legal, so that they have to leave. And this is just causing just a crap show in the United States. I talked about this before with one of the videos talking about E-Verify. So E-Verify is a system where an employer is supposed to take an employee's information, put it through the government system, get back whether or not that person is allowed to work in the United States. And if so, right, that employee is supposed to be legal. And so the employer is supposed to feel confident that ICE will not raid their facilities and take dozens and dozens and dozens of employees away in buses. But then we saw, again, I think it was in Nebraska or whatever, they had one of these meatpacking plants. They had gone by the E-Verify system. Everybody agrees that the meatpacking plant was doing everything legally, had followed all the rules. ICE agents raid, basically drag out 70 employees at a meatpacking plant. And the CEO is basically like, I don't know what to do. And the ICE agents literally told the CEO that the E-Verify system is broken. Right? So the E-Verify system, the system that has been put in place by the government to try to help protect employers from hiring illegal immigrants, it itself is broken, and so it's causing all kinds of issues. And the issue with this is with these illegal immigrants is that many of them are doing work that needs to be done. Imagine 70 employees dragged out of a meat processing plant. Now that meat processing plant has to now replace 70 employees and hope the ones that are replaced, are not illegal immigrants on their own, and that there's not another ICE raid. Imagine trying to run a business in this environment. Tariffs are 20%, then they're 145%, then they're 30%, then they're 55%, based off of the whims of a senile old loser baby who has a lot of experience in business running them into bankruptcy, right? And so not only do you have the tariffs going on, now you have the chaos, again, with immigration and that type of thing. And I think this is going to become a bigger issue in the United States. I think about this with my personal experience, right? Reality. So I had a tree branch go through the roof of my house. So the house that I have has a pretty steep roof. I can't climb it very well. And then up at the top, basically, we just had this big branch that speared our roof and put two big ass holes, right? So I call the roofing people. They're great. They come over the day I call them. They give me a quote. They have another person come over, does the inspection, looks at everything, says, okay, we'll get this fixed for you. And then the next day, I have two people come to fix my roof. And one of them could say hello. One of them was fluent in hello. The other one, not so much. Anyways, they went up there, they fixed the roof. The roof was done in about 4 hours. But one of the interesting things to be thinking about with this is simply a repair I was unable to do because of how this particular house is designed. I don't have the tools and all that kind of stuff, that type of deal. So the only way it could get fixed is by calling this roofing company. And at the end of the day, the people that fixed my roof, let's just say they probably had questionable immigration status. Why I bring this up, though, is think about how much of that work is being done at scale. How much repair work, how much building work, how much food processing work, how much work is being done by people that have a fluency in being able to say hello. And what happens if you rip them out of the country, right? Jobs, beds, the whole 9 yards. So now the Trump administration is wanting even more people to leave. Trump administration tells 500,000 immigrants to self-deport after revoking protections. So these are immigrants who had protection under the Biden administration, but Trump is basically revoking their protection, and he wants them to leave now. A curious thing about it, though, is he knows the damage that he's doing to America. The Trump administration began sending termination notices Thursday to about 500,000 foreign nationals who had received temporary stays to live and work in the United States under a special humanitarian exception. The so-called CHNV program was open to applicants from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela from 2023 until it was terminated by President Donald Trump earlier this year. Recipients of the notice from the Department of Homeland Security are encouraged to self-deport immediately. Get the fuck out! The move came 2 weeks after the Supreme Court ruled DHS can order CHNV participants to leave the country even as they pursue a lawsuit challenging Trump's revocation of the Biden administration era program. If immigrants agree to, quote, self-deport using DHS's home mobile app, they will receive travel assistance and a $1,000 bonus upon arrival in their home country. A month ago, the Supreme Court allowed the Trump administration to revoke the protected status of nearly 350,000 more immigrants, all from Venezuela, who were allowed to remain in the U.S. under the temporary status program. Immigrants in the CHNV program have been granted temporary 2-year stays after leaving their home countries because of conflicts there or unsafe living or working conditions. So these are folks that thought they were safe for a little while. The Trump administration pulls the rug out from under them. Yet, as DHS sent out notices to foreign nationals Thursday, Trump himself bemoaned the effects of his own administration's aggressive immigration enforcement actions were having on the farming, hotel, and leisure sectors, which sometimes employ undocumented workers. Quote from Trump, "Our great farmers and people in the hotel and leisure business have been stating that our very aggressive policy on immigration is taking very good long-term workers away from them, with those jobs being almost impossible to replace." Remember, when Trump came in and he said he was going to go after the illegal immigrants, he said he was going to go after the drug dealers and the murderers and the rapists, right? That was the big deal. We have these evil, illegal immigrants in the country. We are going to use ICE and SWAT type tactics to get those terrorists out from our borders. The problem is they don't seem to be very effective at that. It's funny, Trump doesn't seem to be very effective at going after strong people. Weird how that is. Anyways, so now they're just going after basically everybody, right? Again, going to Home Depots to round people up, going to food processing plants to round people up, going to wherever the easiest, softest targets are to round people up and chuck them out of the country. The issue is, this has been going on for decades and decades and decades and decades, and right or wrong, but under Democrats, under Republicans, this is how the system has worked, and so a lot of those people are working in our economy. All of a sudden, you pull them out of the economy, and literally, what do businesses do? What do the people that were serviced by those businesses do? And what does that do to the overall economy, especially with the other chaos that is occurring because of the Trump administration? Quote, "In many cases, the criminals allowed into our country by the very stupid Biden open border policies are applying for those jobs," Trump wrote. So anyways, first, they're good, long-term, hardworking employees, but now they're criminals. This is no good. We must protect our farmers, but get the criminals out of the USA. Changes are coming. Speaking to reporters later, Trump reiterated his belief that farmers were being harmed by his administration's deportation regime. Quote, "Farmers are being hurt badly. They have very good workers. They've worked for them for 20 years. They're not citizens, but they've turned out to be great. Quote, we can't take farmers and take all their people and send them back," he said, an apparent reference to the deportation of undocumented agricultural workers that his administration has pursued. Quote, "You go into a farm and you look, and people, they've been there for 20, 25 years, and they've worked great, and the owner of the farm loves them and everything else," Trump continued, "and then you're supposed to throw them out." Yes, that is what your policies are, Trump. Trump, you're explaining the ramifications of your policies very well. Quote, so where we're going to have an order on that pretty soon, I think. We can't do that to our farmers and leisure to hotels, the president said. The White House did not immediately reply to a request for additional details about what such an order might look like. So apparently, it does seem that Trump understands the damage that his policies are doing to the American economy. What he's going to do about that, Who the hell knows? This is going to be interesting from a larger scale. You know, when you think about this and you say, Eli, if you're supposed to be talking about technology and all that, why are you talking about these issues? Because again, it goes back to the whole macro forces, right? Macro forces will always win. And the issue with this is when you start ripping people out of the economy, it's that whole Gordian knot deal where you have illegal immigrants in the country that need to be either legalized or chucked out. But at the same time, they are providing valuable services, right? They are living in houses. They are working jobs. They are doing a lot of things that other people don't want to do. So if you just go in there and you just start chucking them out willy-nilly, not only do those jobs leave, but one of the curious questions is what happens to the viability of businesses? If you're a technology support professional, you support businesses. If companies are rated, they did everything properly by the books, they went through the E-Verify system, the whole 9 yards, all of a sudden, right, ICE agents are dragging out a huge number of employees beyond the issue of simply the number of employees that are leaving. Is the company itself going to be able to maintain past that point in time? And if they're not able to maintain, what happens to their need for products and services from vendors? And then for you as a technology support professional, as businesses start folding, what happens to your job? What happens to your viability? So yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens with this. We'll see what happens with this. I mean, telling 500,000 immigrants to self-deport. That's the size of many, or say, I think about that, like Asheville, North Carolina is 90,000 permanent residents. So that's almost 6 times. That's five and a half times the population of Asheville. He's telling just to leave. I wonder what that'll do, especially as an aging population. You think about this with older folks. You think about this with older folks, with people staying in their homes. I talked about that before. With folks, lawn mowing services, all of these services that allow us to do other things. What happens when those services start folding? What happens to the larger economy? So yeah, I don't know. This is continuing. The idiocy is continuing. But the good news is, apparently he realizes the damage that he might actually be causing. So we're only 4 months into this presidency. Even an old ass president might be able to learn new tricks. We'll be able to learn whether we can get a taco to roll over. Taco, roll over. Taco, play dead. Just keep doing that for the next 3.5 years. So what do you think about this? What do you think about the Trump administration telling 500,000 more immigrants to self-deport after they pulled their legal right to be here? What do you think about the fact that the Trump administration, Trump himself, knows the damage that his policies are doing, and yet he seems to continue to be pushing those policies forward? What do you think about all this? And again, as a technology professional, where does all this sit with you? I don't know. Some things to ponder. And with that, see y'all at the next video.